bloodsuckers.
As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell,
Join us!
you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil.
We have such sights to show you.
A veil that is beyond our own comprehension.
I'm just gonna bash your brains.
Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
That's right, it's episode 170, and today we're going to be going into Ridiculosaur land. Ridiculosaurs.
Rawr.
But yeah, we're going to pick two fucking dinosaur type-like movies that have gore in them. They're probably a little bit more science fiction than they are like horror, so to speak, but you know, anything with gore is fucking good with me. How about you?
I'm fine with that.
All right, so we picked two movies, Carnosaur from 1993.
And Tammy and the T-Rex from 1994.
That's right. So that one just came out not too long ago, a few months ago or whatever, and is now on Shudder. And then Carnosaur is on YouTube. So if you guys are looking for these, you can check them out. It's really hard to get a copy of Carnosaur unless you want to pay like $40. It's really tough. So
Kind of weird.
Yeah, it is really weird. I don't know why, but so how have you been? How are things going? Are you excited about us reaching 1,000 subscribers?
Yes, congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you guys for helping out with that. Those of you who helped share the YouTube and everything like that. Like I know Isaac did. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. But yeah, we hit 1,000. I think we're at like 1,010. So, you know.
It's only up from here unless you fuck up and everybody doesn't know what's kidding.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I know wildly successful YouTubers, but it's like, you know, for me, that's a big thing. You know, I don't really give a shit about your fucking success. This is my success, bitch.
Right.
But yeah, so thank you guys for helping out. If you guys don't already follow the YouTube, you really should be, because I've been doing a lot of stuff on there.
Lots of
Reviews, discussions. Video hauls for like what I'm adding to my collection and what you can get for cheap on Blu-ray and DVD and sometimes 4K. So we do hauls for both of those. So there's a lot of stuff. Check it out. Yeah, there's nothing too much going on right now, are we?
No, we did see Patrick and Kelly's baby.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we went to go hang out with Patrick and Kelly.
Finally, little John.
And their little John, who was growing fast. Like, we were like, holy shit. So for those of you who have been following for a while and know who Patrick is, yeah, he's been out because he's being a dad. He's being responsible. But it was good. We got to hang out with them. And
yeah, it was fun. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, they used to come over, like both of them would come over. So me and Patrick would record, and Christina and Kelly would go off and like fucking hang out and watch movies or something while we would record. So we used to hang out a lot before, after, and you know.
Right, it was fun.
It was fun, yeah.
So it was good to catch up.
Yeah.
And that baby is so cute.
Yeah.
It is cute, baby. Baby John. Baby little John.
Yeah. So congrats on that, little buddy, coming into the world. Full head of hair. Jesus Christ. He was fucking rocking out for a 3-month-old, let me tell you.
Right.
Anyway, but I think it might be that time.
What time is it, bitches?
Horrorshots! All right, guys, so we are back to do the horror shot, and this week we're going to be doing it for the movie Carnosaur. We were going to do one for Tammy and the T-Rex first, but after watching Carnosaur, we were like, okay, this man...
Yeah, this has to be it.
This is the one. So what is the name of the shot? Well, it's called a Carnoserum.
Carnoserum.
Yes. Instead of Carnosaur, Carnoserum, you get it. Okay, moving along.
Confusing.
So what is in a Carnoserum? Well, you put 1 part sour apple pucker, 1 part Midori, and 1 part of vodka. If you want to add a different flavor, go ahead, but just regular vodka will do. And then you add a splash of grenadine.
Just a splash.
Yes. And you play the theme to Jurassic Park in the background. Copyright copy. And then before you take the shot, you say, God, I hate wildlife. And then shoot. And then dream of Carnosaur for weeks. But yeah, guys, so that is our shot for this week. I think it is very delicious. I haven't tried it myself because we're just broke, poor little podcasters. But
if you try it, let us know.
And we might hook you up with something.
Yep.
You got to show yourself making the drink and taking the drink and doing all of the above. And we will possibly, yes, possibly. Anyway, so if you would like to take a Carno serum, all you have to do is go to longlivethevoid.com and check out our hashtag Horrorshot section now. That's it for Horrorshots. So you better get your fucking reptilian beaks all juicy and salivating for these 2 next movies for our flesh and potatoes of Ridiculosaurs.
Right now.
And it's Dino time. It's Dino time.
Night time.
JJ Walker, isn't that his name? Like in the show.
I don't remember.
Dynamite. I used to watch that show a lot as a kid.
Carnosaur from 1993. A genetically manipulated and very hungry dinosaur escapes from a bioengineering company and wreaks havoc on a local desert town. A security guard and a girl environmentalist try to stop both it and the company's doomsday bioweapon. Scary.
Sounds dangerous.
Yes, dangerous.
It's like an action movie, really.
All right, this was directed by Adam Simon and Darren Maloney.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Adam Simon. He has also directed The Haunting in Connecticut from 2009.
Oh, wow. Huh.
And Brain Dead from 1990.
Oh, the one with Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. How did I not know
you
this?
didn't know that?
No wonder I like this movie.
Yeah, I know. It makes a lot of sense now. Currently, he's...
Watch that movie, guys, if you see it, by the way, if you could find it.
Brain Dead.
It's out on Blu-ray. It's an amazing mix of Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman. It's amazing. Oh, did I not sell it? Well, okay.
I was giving a weird face.
Okay.
Okay. Currently, he was the creator and the director of the Salem TV series, which I actually watched and is pretty good.
Okay.
And he's also has an upcoming show or movie coming out called Shadow Man.
Shadow Man.
Now, the other director, Darren Maloney, he's actually just been a location manager for a lot of shows.
Like a scout?
Yeah, just like a scout. But he did also direct a movie called Andromeda, The Pleasure Planet from 1999.
Andromeda?
Yeah, Andromeda.
The Pleasure Planet. It sounds like a porno or something.
Yeah, it really does. It doesn't.
I mean, so does Tammy and the T-Rex, if you're going to be honest. But...
All right. Carnosaur was actually based on a novel by John Brosnan, and the screenplay was done by Adam Simon, the director.
Okay.
All right. Now it's time for the...
Well, wait, did that book come out before the Michael Crichton one that Jurassic Park did? Because we're going to be making a lot of comparisons there.
1984.
Jurassic Park came out in 1990, so the book. A lot of people compare this movie to Jurassic Park.
Oh, totally.
Because it came out at the same time.
Right.
So...
Actually, this movie came out in May, and Jurassic Park came out in July.
Right, but they knew about it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because there was a lot of advertising for Jurassic Park. I think that was one of the first movies I went to the theater several times to see.
Me too.
When I was a kid.
Yeah,
because I was just so blown away.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Back to Carnosaur, which is even better than Jurassic Park. I'm just kidding. I still love it.
I'm laughing. I'll let you know later.
Okay.
Okay, this movie stars Raphael Seberg. He plays Doc Smith. He was also in Risky Business. That's where I recognized him from. And then other than that, he's done a lot of TV, including Murder, She Wrote. And currently, he's actually in the Once Upon a Time show.
I always think,
All right, Jennifer.
By the way, should we just buy fucking the whole season? Like all of the seasons of Murder, She Wrote?
Is it not even streaming anywhere? I don't
know.
I haven't even seen it streaming anywhere.
Like, I feel like we should just watch it because there's so many people in it.
Yeah.
That we could be like,
oh yeah, that person.
Yeah.
Oh, that person, that person. Okay, anyway, Jennifer Runyon, who plays Anne Thrush. She was in Ghostbusters.
Thrush. I'm sorry. Why would you name somebody?
I know. Why would you put that name? I'm wondering if that was the name in the book, too.
I don't think that... Yeah, I don't know. Thrush is literally...
What does it mean?
It means yeast infection of the throat.
How does that even happen?
I'm pretty sure of that. Let me look it up here. But go on, continue. I'll tell you.
Anyway, she was in Ghostbusters. She was actually the beginning part where Bill Murray was had those students he was teaching, and she was the one who he was hitting on with the cards.
Okay. And yes, by the way, Thrush is definitely cottage throat.
Thank you for that.
Cottage claw to the throat.
That makes me want to do a horror shot.
With cottage cheese.
Anyway.
We should have done that one.
Anyway. She has also been in Silent Night, Bloody Night 2.
Okay, cool.
From 25. And she's done a ton of TV, including Murder, She Wrote.
Oh, my God. Angela Davis, what's her name?
Yeah, I think it's Angela Davis, yeah.
Hold on.
Lansbury. Angela Lansbury.
That's the one, yeah.
Okay.
She's beckoning us. She's calling us. She's typing on a typewriter to us right now.
Watch my show.
I'm trying to contact the ghost of... Is she still alive, actually? She's like, who's calling me right now? In the middle of whatever the fuck she's doing, making a pancake or something.
She's getting chills in her nursing home.
Oh, Christina.
What? She's old. If she's still alive, she's probably in the home.
Yeah, I'm kind of jumping ahead, huh? We're like hoping that, I'm sorry, Angela. Let's see here. She is still alive.
See, I told you. Now we're giving her chills.
Okay. Sorry, Angela. My bad. Her nose is itching for sure right now.
Oh,
though.
totally.
Okay.
Totally. Anyway. All right. Diane Ladd plays Dr. Jane Tiptree. Now, I didn't realize this woman is like a really significant actress. Did you?
Yeah, well, kinda. I mean, she looks like one of those people that you recognize, but this movie she was really young, so I feel like she budded later after this because she wouldn't have done this movie, you would think.
Nope, she's had 3 Academy Award nominations.
Holy fuck.
Including Martin Scorsese's Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore from 1974.
Well, that explains one reason why I didn't see her.
Now, before I tell you what the other movies are...
They always give awards to shit you don't know what it is.
No, there's other ones, though. Do you know who her daughter is?
Who?
Lauren Dern.
Oh, Laura Dern?
Laura Dern. So, Diane Ladd was also in Wild at Heart.
Wait. Holy shit. So there is another Jurassic Park connection here.
Oh yeah, I forgot she was in Jurassic Park. You didn't even know
she was in Jurassic Park?
I totally fucking forgot.
Oh my God, the reptile egg does not fall far from the tree, does it?
Great. You're a dick.
They're asexual, right? In this movie. Anyway.
But anyway.
And they are in Jurassic Park,
They are. They both were in Wild at Heart. She actually played her mother.
Wow.
And actually, she's played Lauren
Dern's mother. I didn't even recognize her.
I know, in this movie, but it was kind of grainy. It wasn't the greatest quality. That's probably why. But anyway, okay, and she's also been in Rambling Rose, and yeah, she's played Laura Dern's mother 5 times in films. Isn't that crazy?
Would you like to fuck Lola's mama?
Yeah, that was her. That was her. She was in this movie.
Dude, I always talk about Wild at Heart, dude.
I know,
was
you're
just
obsessed.
Literally on the fucking Twitter talking to Cage's Kiss, which is a podcast dedicated to Cage. You guys want to check it out, shout out to them. Let them know that we sent you, please. Yeah, they do nothing but talk about Cage, pretty much.
That's so funny.
So, yeah.
Okay, and then quickly, I'll just wrap the cast up really quick, Harrison Page, who plays Sheriff Fowler. He was in Lionheart, Sledgehammer, and lots of other TV shows, including Murder, She Wrote. And then finally,
Angela's gone.
Clint Howard is in this movie.
I can feel her breathing on my back.
You're out of control. Anyway, Clint Howard is in this too. He plays Slim Flyer.
Another
Fryer.
underrated gem like George Buckflower.
Right. Mostly known for Andy Griffith's show. He's been in a lot of Rob Zombie films. I didn't realize he was in 3 from Hell.
Yeah, he was the clown.
And then I wanted to mention he was also in The Rocketeer from 1991. Yeah. Because I remember that movie. It was fun. Anyway, the budget for this movie is obviously $850,000.
Well, that's about what, what's funny is that's the amount. Well, I won't get into it. Another movie we might be talking about has around that same budget. Jumping ahead all over the place. People are like, Jesus Christ, take some Ritalin.
I guess for early 90s, that was a good B-movie budget.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, Alex, let's hear your thoughts on this Carnosaur
Well,
movie.
I am so glad that you asked, Christina, because... So, while I'm watching this movie, first of all, I'm expecting not a good movie because I don't remember it.
Have you seen it before?
Yes. It was always on the rental shelf.
Oh, okay. So you remember
it was always one of those straight to video on the shelf movies, and they had 3 of them, But the idea that in my mind I came up with while I was watching it was a drunk hero guy, an environmental activist, and a scientist who fascinates about being impregnated by dinos, and an actual dinosaur, or in this case, Carnosaur, walk into a quarry. That's the name. That's the joke. But yeah, not a good one apparently.
I don't get it.
That's all right. It's like if
walk into a quarry. What the fuck is a quarry?
How old are you?
Shut up! I'm like your age. What the fuck is a quarry? Walk into a quarry?
A quarry, a rock quarry. That's where they're at. They dig up rocks.
I don't get it.
Yeah, they dig up rocks and carry it to another location.
And that's called a fucking quarry?
But let's roll that back a little bit here a second. Hold on. So you've never heard, blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 walk into a bar. That's the start of every 80s joke.
I thought you were just doing a synopsis off the top of your head.
All right, guys. I quit.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye. See you later. Bye, bitches.
I'm out. Bye. Anyway, so I'll never do that again.
I'm sorry. I just crushed dreams. That's why I'm here.
But it's pure straight to video 90s fun to me. There's no good acting in sight really, but I think, you can safely assume that this is not going to be some sort of Academy Award winning movie either, like Jurassic Park, right?
Right.
Or some of the breadth of talent associated with it for some odd reason. So if you're going to watch this, you're going to expect schlock robot dinos, people getting torn limb from limb, tons of blood and gore, plus a convoluted science destroyed the world sort of message, which is kind of weird thinking about that now because, it's like versus then and now, like how science saves or kills the world, It's like now nobody seems to care about the world and thinks that everyone's all liars because scientists killed God or something. I don't know what it is. By playing God, maybe?
I don't know.
Maybe this was the reason that people don't believe in science anymore.
Is because of Jurassic Park
Carnosaur.
Because of Carnosaur?
Yeah.
Oh,
they don't trust them, man. Ever since Jurassic Park and Carnosaur came out, it's
kind of deep.
Yeah. Shows up, guys. Shows up. Time to pack up your fucking science bags and get the fuck out of town. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just being silly. Anyway, so the gore in this one is a lot of fun. So if you're looking for really fun little gore ride from the 90s, I think you'll be pleased. All the characters are super shallow, being dispatched by dino DNA infected chickens on the loose. I thought it was more than one, but I guess it's just one. But I don't know. I'm
that
confused on that.
Confused me too. I thought there was, but no, I thought there was more than one.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
Like I said, I think I rented this back in the day as a kid but I barely remember it. But it might have even been on like Cinemax, which back in the day, if you're as ancient as I am, you would go to Cinemax to watch all your horror delights that you couldn't even see on cable TV, which, you know, I saw Dead Alive on there. That was the first time I saw it before it was even brought to America. Cinemax showed it on, I think it was Cinemax or HBO. Now I'm getting confused, but Cinemax was awesome. Trust me. Okay. I'm old. But I missed those days. So, you know, there was a lot of times we were forced to watch stuff that you wouldn't normally watch or choose to pick.
Because there was nothing else.
Right. Because nowadays we're so fucking spoiled with like so many goddamn movies. It's like we just have an unending amount of fucking movies to watch.
Right.
Back then we didn't.
Right.
And so we were forced to enjoy movies that, you know, we didn't have a lot of picks to pick from. You know what I mean? It was just, but it was fun. It was a good thing.
Right. It was fun.
Some of the characters in this were pretty lame for the most part.
Yeah.
But who really gives a fuck when they all get torn apart anyway?
Right.
So, you know, midway through this Corman film, this is a Roger Corman produced film, I was ready to hop on to part 2 and 3, literally. I was like, yes! We were laughing and screaming.
I can't believe there's sequels.
I know, and guys, I think we're going to actually do part 2 and 3 next week.
Oh, next week?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So we're excited about it, actually. I don't know how bad
excited.
it's going to get, but if
We'll
it's
see.
anywhere near as good as the first one, then I'm all about it. So, but the story in this is kind of fucking weird, man, because, I mean, it's deep, but it's like not too deep because some of the logic behind why they're doing it is kind of flawed.
Yeah.
But who gives
fun.
a shit again? Because that's the brood of this fucking type of movie. So there's dinos, airborne diseases that impregnate women to have more dinos, exploding chickens. Like, what the fuck is happening in this movie? But honestly, if you've listened this far and are like, wow, that sounds like crazy, like, what the fuck is this? Then you know what to expect and you should watch it because I think you'll have fun with it. Like, the only thing that lacks in this film is actually what I think kind of makes it charming.
What do you mean? Like the gore?
No, just the typical lacking features of a big budget film or a good film is what actually makes it good.
Right,
makes it enjoyable.
Right.
So, but I'd give this one probably like a 7 out of 10 for 90 straight to video cheese. You know, worth a watch if you like these types of films, probably a 3 if you don't. You know, like you might think like, oh my God. You start cutting yourself. You're like, worst film ever. And then you get on the internet and you're like, you motherfuckers who made this movie. I swear to God, I can't believe I spent an hour and a half of my time and you made me write
I'm going to hunt you down. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
I'll kill you with my dinosaurs.
All right, tone down the passion, guys, okay? We get it. No, I'm just being an asshole. But, yeah, it's a good film. I liked it. I thought it was fun. What about you?
I thought this movie is pretty fucking decent.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I'm glad you did, too, because I was really worried.
liked it.
You were worried about watching it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God, he's going to make me want to watch another one of his terrible, like, 80s fucking pieces of shit movies.
She's starting to wear down that wall of dumb and
What?
let me in.
No, I'm not. This, what?
Oh, wait, you said you didn't like Color Out of Space that much, so yeah, you're back in.
No, that's bullshit. Okay, wait, hold on. Before I go any further, I gotta bring that up. I gotta bring up last week's episode.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I liked Color Out of Space. Okay,
Oh, did you
guys? I liked it. Did I love it? No. Did I hate it? No. There is a fucking in-between for loving it and hating it. And I am in that in-between.
Oh, is that what it is?
Okay?
Is that what you call it?
I liked the fucking movie.
I'm totally kidding,
Jesus
first of all.
Christ,
Everybody
people.
else was like on my shit. Like,
Dude,
you know
everybody
what?
was on my shit.
No, they were not. They were like, I
you
totally
don't.
understand Christina. I'm like, God.
Yeah, some people are like that.
Am I like mentally, verbally attacking her to you guys? Like, we're just silly.
We're not.
Yeah,
Well,
we're just
you are
silly.
right now. You guys should hear him when the mics aren't on.
Anyway, just tell us more
Okay.
about Carnosaur.
Anyway, okay,
I was totally
Carnosaur.
joking, by the way.
Were you?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Anyway,
okay,
talk about how you like this film over Color Out of Space.
I really did. I actually would put this movie within the same realm of Jurassic Park, but I think this movie was better. If I would have saw this movie instead of Jurassic Park as a kid,
You're out of your mind.
Oh my God. It was.
You are out of your mind.
I am not. I even liked.
It's not even the same fucking realm.
It is in the same realm because there's dinosaurs.
Yeah, but this is straight to video 90s.
I don't care. I
give
loved
it a score based on that, not necessarily. If I had
I gave it a score based on a fucking movie.
All right. Well, continue on.
Anyway, I even liked the aspect of like the corporate greed versus like the hippie people trying to get them to stop tearing up the earth shit, and then they're like, oh, I gotta make that money and don't tell anybody the chickens are fucking sick, okay? We can't let anybody know those chickens are sick.
You know what's funny? A lot of people don't realize, like younger people don't realize that was an issue back in the 80s that we were trying to tackle. Oh, and how it fluctuates and stuff,
right.
You know?
Right. But anyway,
so, yeah.
I didn't think it was that cheesy.
So you literally think that this movie's better than Jurassic Park?
I really do.
All right.
I like all the things going on. Everything escalated like quickly, and it got like batshit crazy in the beginning, and you know I like that.
Okay,
Those
I mean, you're
like.
blown my mind with this, but okay. Michael Crichton is probably cutting himself right now. Like
he doesn't give a shit what I say. Anyway. Okay, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but I do have to mention there were a few parts in it.
Oh, you know, he can't really say much either because I realized that's right. He passed away in 2008. So, wow, this is just a fun-filled episode full of
here with us now.
Mistaken shit.
I'll seance him later and he can possess me.
Okay.
Anyway, so there are a few parts in this.
Disrespectful, by the way.
Get over it. Okay, anyway, I need to get back to my point. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are a few parts in this movie where it looks like these dinosaurs were like in a rave. And I was like, oh my God, this came out in like 1993. Maybe this is where raves came from.
Yeah,
and I think we need to bring back dino raves.
Okay. You're freaking me out.
And and then one other thing I really liked, it was weird at first how they had the little the narration tags in it, where they had that made no sense. Like it would say where they were, and then it would say something per million like cells. It was all scientifically shit.
I couldn't read it in time. It was too fast.
Yeah, but I did like it because they did kind of jump all over the place, so it was helpful to know like what the fuck they were doing at the.
And we're not getting into spoilers, right?
No, I'm not getting into spoilers.
Okay, I was like, wait, what were you doing?
No, I was just saying I just liked that aspect of how the movie jumped all over the place with those little tags. Anyway, really like this movie. 8 out of 10.
All right, yeah. Hey, good luck, guys. The podcast's yours now, Christine.
No, seriously.
Fuck it out!
You guys, if you like, see, I don't even think it was that cheesy either. I really liked it as a movie.
I mean, I really like the movie. It's really high on my list as far as like, cheesy 90s movies, but I'm just saying, like better than Color Out of Space.
Yeah, hell
Better than fucking Jurassic Park.
It was better than Jurassic Park.
My mind has shit out my ass.
You guys
right now.
Go to YouTube right now and just watch this movie and then listen to the rest of us.
All right.
I want to hear some of your trivia though. I want to see what
trivia
you found out.
So it gives a 7.5 from both of us, guys. Just
8 out of 10. I would have given this movie a 10 out of 10.
I mean, I would watch it again for sure. It's you got to be in one of those moods sometimes for some of these movies. It's like it's a surprise when you're not really looking. You don't know what to pick. Pick Carnosaur. You're like, ugh.
I am so excited to see the sequels. I am so fucking.
They're gonna pale in comparison, but we'll find out on next week.
We don't know. We'll see.
All right, guys, so I have some trivia for you. So if you don't want to listen to the spoilers or anything about this before you get into it, we've given you your warning. And, you should watch this movie. It's pretty cool. So if not, skip to the next movie that we talk about, Tammy and the T-Rex, by following the timestamps down below. So in this movie, they have a corporate company that does science experiments called Eunice. Is the main science company, okay? In the beginning, a guy in a trailer who is Doc, who's in this movie, he's like watching a movie getting drunk. That is Brain Dead, which the director of this movie did Brain Dead.
Brain Dead.
I had known that Roger Corman had directed or produced it, but I didn't know that the guy who made this movie directed it. So that what part was a surprise to me. But so the name of the company so he's watching the TV, getting shit-faced, and then walks out. That's Brain Dead that they're watching with Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton, which I always tell people to watch because I love it. They even have a truck that has a label of the corporation on the side where they're doing the rock quarry thing. It says Eunice on there on the side of the truck because Eunice is actually this nefarious corporate conglomerate dabbling in some pretty bad things in both of these movies. Right. So Brain Dead and Carnosaur. So is it connected?
Oh, obviously it is.
Because I remember in Brain Dead, if you guys have seen it, they are trying to figure out a way to do quick lobotomies on people to change their personalities. And he's like, put the new you in Eunice. And he's like, the new you in Eunice. And it's like, oh my God. And then he's like, yeah, why don't we just have a drive-through and just have people drive up and do a fucking quick, drive-through lobotomy. And he's like drunk as shit, like Bill Pullman actually is.
So maybe the science they were using in this movie was also the type of science they were using in Brain Dead.
It's definitely the same conglomerate. Now, I've never recognized the connection of the companies. And now I feel like I wonder how many movies are connected to Eunice in his world, or at least the director's world.
Right.
I don't know. So I thought that was an interesting little Easter egg, or it's not really an Easter egg. It's just a little background on it that you probably won't hear from other podcasts, by the way. So you already mentioned the budget of this film. So a lot of the Tyrannosaurus Rex effects were the big one in the movie. They did this by doing like a miniature with a remote controlled puppet in a man suit and a full-size 16-foot tall robot. However, only a handful of shots involved the full-size robot, which they had too narrow of a range of movements to be convincing. So the man in the suit provided equally cumbersome and was also scrapped. So most of the effects shots were accomplished with a remote control miniature and then some hand puppets. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
I know they use a lot of depth
perspective.
depth perception shots.
Well, it's not depth perception. It's perspective.
Oh, okay.
Just perspective shots where you pull the puppet closer to the camera while shooting behind it. So it looks like it's really big. And I don't know if they use diopter shots on those kind of things, because diopter shots put both the background and the up-close item in focus.
Oh, okay.
So, but maybe someone can correct me on that. But anyway, so the original author, John Brosnan, who wrote the book under the pseudonym Harry Adam Knight, by the way. So he was the actual writer. He was first approached to write the screenplay in the mid-1991 by Roger Corman's wife, Julie Corman, who was also a director and producer with Together, who formalized the deal at Brosnan's drinking club and drew up the contract on a bar napkin. So as the film was meant to be competing with Jurassic Park, Brosnan later wrote that he was taken back when it was revealed that the film's budget would have only been $1 million. Although, yeah, so it was going to like paltry amount of fucking money. So he was concerned that the restrictive budget would require a reduction in the amount of dinosaurs used. But Corman assured him that he was free to write whatever he wanted and that any modifications would be made in the final draft. So once he sent his first draft to Hollywood, he lost all contact with the film crew. His screenplay had in fact been heavily revised to the point where his credit had been reduced to the original story.
Oh, wow.
So,
that sucks.
Right.
Dude.
I know. Well, hey, man, Roger Corman likes to get shit done, I guess. I don't know. So
shit happens.
Yeah. So I guess that's a big sore subject. I guess. And you heard it here. No, I'm just kidding. Some of these I'm pulling off of IMDb, by the way, because this is not an easy movie to pull fucking trivia from. So, yeah, I got to do what I can, because some of the stuff you find on IMDb, guys, just for those of you out there who sleuth around for stuff too, just out of curiosity, isn't always true.
Right.
It's public made,
like
trivia.
like Wikipedia.
Very
almost.
much so, yeah. So you get you might be partially right, you might be completely wrong. You never really know. So, although John Brosnan, he disliked Roger Corman's film adaptation of the novel, he nonetheless credited it with having raised greater awareness of his original story.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't all bad.
Right.
Because,
then now that's true. Because now I would kind of like to read that book now to see what was so different between this and the movie.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. And that's a rarity to see in film, especially back then. So also, if you guys are familiar with John Carl Beechler, he who passed away recently, not too long ago, Corman felt that stop motion techniques and optical effects would interfere with the filming. So John Carl Beechler agreed with him that all the creatures would be in real-time models, and constructing the dinosaurs, he hired Mike Jones to sculpt the Dinosaur, and that's how they say it, I guess, and Jeff Fairley to sculpt the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The first creature constructed for the film, Fairley's 3-foot T-Rex animatronic puppet, served as the basis for an unused suit model and a full-scale prop, where they had like hinges and like cables that they were used to operate the creature in radio operated eyes.
Oh, okay. So that's how that was done.
Pretty interesting. I don't know, and it's good to know the people who work on these kind of things in the background, because there's some of the more underappreciated people, and they really make the magic happen in the movies.
Right.
Like a lot of people are just like, oh, the director, he did a great job, but it's like, no, it's all these people,
Right. All the background people.
Right. So, an interesting little thing here about this movie, and sort of grabbing on to better films than it, unless you're talking to Christina.
You dick.
Is that the end fight scene of this movie, where they have like Doc fighting the creature in a like shiploader, it's Bobcat.
Yeah.
Beechler said that he later commented that the scene was nearly shot for shot modeled on the finale of Aliens.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they used, they accomplished it with the puppet being filmed in a miniature set, which featured like the scaled Doc Smith and shiploader, which he calls it a shiploader, but it was a Bobcat, guys.
Oh, yeah.
He designed the scaled T-Rex in order to use like a force perspective. That's what it's called.
Force perspective.
Yeah, force perspective. Camera techniques, that's what they use to do it. They've done it in a lot of films. In fact, I believe it was the brothers who did Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh.
They loved that force perspective kind of thing, so pretty cool. Old technique, but anyway. So I thought that was really cool to point out. But there's not really that much more that's that interesting. A lot of it just kind of reverberates.
I hope somebody picks it up one of these days and like puts it on a Blu-ray or something.
Well, they would never. Oh yeah, who might? Who might do it is maybe Vinegar Syndrome.
That would be awesome.
Or Vestron.
That'd be awesome.
I think, because I don't like, if you guys know, I could probably do some research on it to figure it out or ask around, but I'd like to know who owns some of these movies, and I've never actually looked into it, and I was literally thinking about that today. Like, who owns these movies and how do you find out? Because every now and then, like, I'll go to like, Synapse Films and be like, hey, like, I used to ask them all the time, can you please bring the brain can you please redo the brain in 1080p? And they would be like, oh no, sorry, like this person owns it, until somebody sells it, and then it like bounces around. Like,
so you just got to keep bugging people until.
Well, and a lot of people used to say that like Lionsgate would hold all these films for the longest time.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's why they started Vestron Video, because it was to, well, not started, but reuse the names and stuff to try to like push the cult section of it. But a lot of people are upset about that because they've kind of taken a backseat to it. They don't really care. So they do, but they don't. I don't want to speak for anybody, but I'm just saying it appears that way to other people.
Everything boils down to money.
Anyway, so let's talk about some of the scenes that we liked. I wrote a few down. I know that we're kind of running long on this, guys, but it's just interesting stuff to talk about. Do you want to kick it off with one of the scenes, or do you want me to do one? I have one right off the bat, I could say right now.
Okay.
I loved that the chickens were popping.
Oh, yeah.
Like the chickens were fucking popping into a green mist, and there would be like a fucking dino egg just in their place, almost as big as them.
Right.
Which I just thought was great.
It was cool. And then also when they would get impregnated and then they would
Squirt out a
rapidly
green egg.
grow inside of them. Yeah, and then they would just burst out of their bodies.
Some of them burst, some of them gave birth.
Right.
But they all died.
When the main doctor lady had hers done, I immediately thought of Alien.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it wouldn't be past Corman to get like a...
Right.
To borrow.
But I mean, even the dinosaur looked like the alien.
One of the first scenes that like really had me delighted is when the fucking drunk stereotypical kids are like almost drive off the quarry fucking cliff. And then they like get out and he pees or whatever and they're all drinking and make it out in the car and they get shredded by the Carnosaur.
Right.
That was fucking awesome. It's like trying to get in the window and shit. I was like, dude, I was like, this is awesome. I fucking loved that scene. Even though the characters I didn't really care about.
Right.
You know, them being killed. I mixed all these
Which
words
is okay.
together, but you know what I mean.
Right. I thought one thing that I was like, what the fuck? So Doc's like a night security guard. He's supposed to guard all the bobcats and the machinery.
Right, at the quarry, yeah.
Right. So then all the hippie kids and the one chick, the environmentalist, they chain themselves to the machinery in the middle of the fucking night. Like when they're not working. I'm like, what the fuck? Like who does that?
Well, because that was what you did back in the day is it was in more of an 80s thing.
Oh,
no.
Yeah. I get that. I just don't understand why they did it in the middle of the night. Like, wouldn't you want to do it like first thing in the morning before?
Well, maybe they did it at night because then they wouldn't be stopped.
But
it was for the morning.
Yeah, but there's a security guard there and dinosaurs.
Yeah, well,
they got shredded. So I thought that was silly.
That was a really fun scene. There was like I thought it was really funny because they chained themselves to the Unis equipment in protest, and then Doc says "fuck it" because he's like, "You guys are gonna get eaten by fucking bobcats." So, like he foreshadows, them actually getting almost like he willed it to happen. So but then he leaves and runs to the diner for food. Meanwhile, they get shredded by the Carnosaur, who eats a dude's face off. Which was so fucking cool. Awesome. And then he chews off a woman's leg, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, and he was like, and then he just started chewing it like a chicken leg.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
I just thought that was like beautiful fucking 90s B-movie magic right there. It was glorious. I loved that scene, so... Did you notice that the cutting edge fucking Unis Corporation like had cameras everywhere, including the vehicles that they were driving around?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, they didn't have Wi-Fi back then.
How are they getting this?
Yeah, like what the fuck? There's no cellular signal that would send video over it.
Right.
Like, how are they doing this? Although I guess they did have, camera technology to send a signal out, like for football games and shit like that.
That's true.
Or on the spot news shit like that.
Right.
But I was like, I thought to myself about the Wi-Fi thing, which I actually looked up, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So this movie came out in 93, right?
Right.
So the first version of the 802.11 protocol, which is Wi-Fi, was released in 1997 and gave up to 2 megabits of speed per second.
Wow.
I just thought it was interesting.
1997.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems kind of late. But now that I think about it, that makes sense.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. They did have Wi-Fi back then, but it wasn't like commercial or residential.
You couldn't use it and it wasn't that fast.
Right. Yeah.
Well, even the internet, you plug into your phone line, it wasn't that fast.
It wasn't until about that time that even put a patent in. But anyway, I just thought that'd be a fun little tidbit. That's right. They had the secretary who was for the scientist lady.
Right.
Diane Ladd.
Oh, the doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. She had a secretary who lays a fucking giant green egg and dies. And like Doc goes to the fucking because the girl, the environmentalist girl who he meets and like has this connection with for some reason, even though they're like complete opposites.
Because they needed a love connection to the movie.
Right. She gets sick from the airborne activated fucking like reptile impregnated fucking disease or whatever. And then he takes her back to his little trailer, puts her in there to take care of her, and then goes to the scientist and is like, yo, what the fuck? You know, like, what's going on? And he like holds her hostage, but then they're kind of like buddies or something.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And then the lady gives birth to this egg and she dies, and she's just so callous about it. Like, she doesn't even care about the woman who just died. She only cares about the egg.
I need that egg.
Right.
This is everything I dreamed of.
Which is just like so ridiculous in a way, because like the reason for her creating all of this disaster is because it belonged to the dinosaurs and we are mere ants and living in their living rooms. And I'm like, oh God. And he makes the fucking Jurassic Park comment where he says,
right.
He makes the comment, he says, it makes a great theme park, huh? Which I you know, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's when we had to stop. It was like, wait a second.
But that doesn't really answer it. And it's like, but why? He's like, why? And then she's like, well, the earth isn't ours to destroy. I don't want to destroy the world. Just one unruly species. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
She even gives birth to one.
Yes, she did give birth to one.
Yeah, she dies, I thought. Her death is very... doesn't matter.
No, it really didn't.
But she totally prepares for it. She's like, she sets down the little blanket and she's like, okay. She's like, here's my little baby bear coming out. This is my little squeezling. It just doesn't make any sense why there's like this airborne disease. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, like
that.
Everyone was all coughing.
It was
and,
cool.
Like,
it was only the women.
Yeah.
It was only the women.
It's weird.
But then they have the sheriff in this movie, which is funny because we had, in both of the movies we watched, it was two black sheriffs.
Right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, which is cool.
It's just like so many similarities here.
Yeah, the two dinosaur movies we watched.
Right.
Yeah.
Had two black sheriffs, which was just a weird coincidence, I guess. But that happens here on the podcast all the time. But he kills one of the Carnos, and that little scene was fun. Because it comes running at him, and he pumps it once in the chest with a shotgun, and it screeches and falls, and then he stands over it proud. And then you see its little claw, its little fucking little talon.
Jerkin.
Yeah, and it just like oddly somehow punches through the back of his back and out his stomach.
I think that was his tail.
No, it was his toe.
It was his toe. Oh.
It was his claw.
I thought it was his tail.
Because they're kind of like raptors, but they're not. They're called Deinonychus.
Right, but
or whatever.
they look exactly like raptors.
Yeah, they kind of do, but you know, they just have big claws, so he pumps it in the head with the fucking shotgun and it pops.
Right.
Which was awesome. I love that.
It was.
Oh, that I forgot to mention. The scientist lady, I remember now, she cuts open her own stomach. She rips open her own stomach to let the egg escape.
Oh, I thought.
Oh no, it's not an egg. It's just the creature.
Yeah, I thought the creature like busted through her stomach.
Right, so she was like infected too, and she didn't give a fuck.
Right, because she wanted to be.
But it was a really cool scene where she like rips open her stomach that doesn't bleed for some reason, and then this little like alien fucking homage again.
Right.
Is that part right there.
Right.
So, what'd you think of the end big fight scene with the two bobcats and fucking Doc and Thrush Throat Cottage coming out?
It was ridiculous. Throat Cottage.
We really should have done a Thrush shot, huh? With like cottage cheese and vodka.
Oh, God, you're grossing me out. You're grossing me out. I thought it was good. It was ridiculous.
It's cool. Like, they take chunks out of it, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, he slams into it. Like, he goes to fight it and then just stands there in the bobcat like an idiot. And then it turns it over, and then she saves the day.
Right, as she
The
should.
environmentalist who should be protecting animals kills it, mind you. So I guess there's not much of a...
Didn't she shoot it?
It's a fine line between murderous fucking environmentalists and not. I don't know what they were trying to say there. What?
Did she shoot it?
No, she just stabbed it in the back, and then I think...
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, like... Yeah, they fight... Like, she kills it, and it knocks... she takes a big chunk out of it, and then it goes down to bite her bobcat, and then she bips it under the chin, and knocks it over, and then it dies.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. I don't know where.
Oh, no. I'm
she
sorry.
shot it.
She gets knocked out somehow, doesn't she? Because, like, he is the one that's in the bobcat, and he's like, God, I hate wildlife. and then he bips it under the chin with the fucking arm.
Oh, that's
the
right.
claw, and then like hits it in the face and it falls over. And it's like, I don't know, I thought that was really funny. But then they go back into the trailer to relax, I guess, and like say, oh, it's over, you know, finally it's over. And a bunch of these guys who are like investigating the fucking scientist lady, they were trying to quarantine this whole fucking thing, like go in there and fucking, they've been murdering everybody throughout the whole fucking movie.
Right.
They just go in and light them all up. She's already taken the serum because he gets the serum from the scientist lady because he forces her. He's like, look, I'll shoot all these fucking eggs right now if you don't give me the serum.
Right. Make sure she doesn't get pregnant.
So
yeah, that ending was pretty dope.
I don't know about that.
I did. I liked it.
I mean, it's whatever. Like,
and to know that there's sequels, you know?
Yeah, I wonder where it's going to go.
I know. So excited.
Well, we'll be doing it next week, guys. So, but we do have another movie to talk about, and that is
Tammy and the T-Rex.
Booyah, and I did actual work on this one.
Yeah, he did all the work.
On the whole episode, yes. Just kidding.
Okay, I'll just... Cool, you just talk. And I'll just be like...
Oh, fuck you!
Yeah.
Anyway, so Tammy and the T-Rex came out in 1994, so a year after. We were on the dino craze after the fucking whole Jurassic Park thing. But it was also called Tammy and the Teenage T-Rex.
I don't like that name.
I don't either. It's a little wordy.
It's way
doesn't
wordy.
roll off the tongue. Like, I don't know. And that's probably why they ended up. But I have some trivia on that.
Oh, okay.
So the story is an evil scientist implants the brain of Michael, a murdered high school student, into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. He escapes, wreaks havoc and vengeance on his high school tormentors, and is reunited by the sweetheart of his life, Tammy.
That was a good voice there, bud.
Yeah, I'm trying. Hire me. If you're listening now, hire me. I'll do it. I'll suck a dick. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, this movie is written and directed by Stuart Raffel. He did movies like The Philadelphia Experiment, Ice Pirates, Mac and Me, Mannequin 2, On the Move, which was kind of terrible. Like the beginning half was okay, but then they go back in time and shit.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember Mannequin?
No. Oh, wait. Yeah, I remember the first Mannequin.
Because, yeah, the first Mannequin, they had those glasses where you had the, like, cool, like, shaped glasses. And and it was, like, really popular. Those glasses became really popular. They even sold them at McDonald's. Oh. Like, you could get a pair at McDonald's, I think, as a promotional thing.
Oh, okay.
For the movie. Uh-huh. Which I had a pair. I don't know what it was for, but it might have been for, like, Back to the Future.
Oh, okay.
Later. So I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. But he also did Passenger 57. He wrote for that movie with Wesley Snipes. Oh. Which I haven't seen in forever. It kind of makes me want to watch it. This movie wasn't written only by Stuart Raffel. It was also written by Gary Brockett, who's mostly known as an assistant director and acting. He assisted on a movie called Nursey, Survival Island, The Haunting Hour, Don't Think About It by R.L. Stine, and many other different productions. So this was kind of like a big thing. Mm-hmm. Some of the cast in this movie is Denise Richards, who plays Tammy. She was in movies like The World Is Not Enough with Pierce Brosnan.
James Bond.
Yeah. 007. Starship Troopers, Wild Things, Loaded Weapon 1, Valentine, Scary Movie 3, and many, many more.
Excuse me, you forgot the most important one.
What?
She is also a part of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh, yes. How could I forget?
She's my favorite housewife. Besides Kyle Richards, because she was in Halloween. But anyway.
You done? I'm just kidding.
I'm done.
How would I know that shit? I mean, I could look it up, but it wouldn't be something I'd be like, oh, she was in Housewives? Like, nah.
No, she's awesome.
Nah, brah. Just kidding.
Anyway.
There's also Theo Forsett in this movie. He plays Byron. He was in a movie called Street Night, Mantis, a TV movie, and some roles in TV. It also has Paul Walker in this movie. He plays the character of Michael. He's mostly known, of course, for Fast and the Furious. Yeah, all the way up to 7, I think he was in. Uh-huh. And
they're on like 9 now, but anyway.
Yeah. And he was also in movies like The Lazarus Project, Running Scared, a personal favorite, Joyride, and Pleasantville.
I've never seen Pleasantville.
You need to see that movie, and we need to buy it because it's good. I like it. It's not a horror movie, by the way, guys. But it's got fucking Tobey Maguire, who he's fascinated with a TV show that's like Leave It to Beaver from the 50s, and he watches it all the time, and him and his sister fight over a remote control, and they go into the movie in black and white and turn the movie into color.
Oh, is that Reese Witherspoon's in that?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's good. Also in this movie is Terry Kaiser, who plays Dr. Walkenstein. He is the Bernie character in Weekend at Bernie's.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. There's two.
Yeah.
The second one had voodoo, I think, in it. Anyway.
It was good.
The doctor in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Oh. He was also in the Fall Guy show for many years. He was in a movie called From a Whisper to a Scream, Mannequin 2 again.
Oh, wow.
And Speed Demons and many more.
Huh.
Also, one of my favorite, like, no-name guys who's always in the background is like, oh, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
George Buckflower. He plays Deputy Norville. He's in They Live, Starman, Issa, She-Wolf of the SS, The Witch Who Came from the Sea, The Fog, Escape from New York, Sorority Babes in Slimeball, Pumpkinhead, Maniac Cop, Mac and Me, Cheerleader Camp, Puppet Master 2, Spontaneous Combustion, and literally I could just keep going.
Right.
But I had to give him some love. He's no longer with us, and he was just one of those guys. Right. I don't know. I always appreciate him. You see him and
you're like, hey, I know that guy.
Well, yeah, it's more than that.
Right.
I'll talk about it later, but
okay.
Also in this movie is George Pilgrim, who plays Billy. He was in a movie called Time Master, which I vaguely remember and I want to see again. He played Billy the Kid in that movie. And he was also in an Addams Family Reunion as some sort of family member that's hungry. I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay.
Also stars Sean Whalen, who plays the character Weasel, part of Billy's gang. He was obviously Roach in People Under the Stairs, Twister, Three from Hell, Death House, The Axe Murders of Villisca, Constantine TV show, and many more.
Wow.
So what were your thoughts on this movie, Christina? The movie. Also, the movie, they had $1 million to make this movie.
Oh, well, that's good.
What's your thoughts? I'm just kidding.
This movie was ridiculous.
It's a good word.
It is the worst T-Rex I've ever seen in my life. I know. I understand. It's an animatronic dinosaur, but apparently the animatronic T-Rex can use its tiny arms to dial a phone in a payphone booth. It could pick up a man with this tiny little hands.
Like all good dinosaurs.
This animatronic dinosaur cried.
Yeah.
And this time... And he also blew kisses.
It shows you just how serious this movie is.
Right. And this animatronic dinosaur is clunky as fuck.
Right.
All right. No, this movie was okay. The dialogue alone, it was killing me. It was just a bunch of bad jokes and puns.
Yeah.
Like the whole dialogue.
There's some funny stuff, though.
Yeah, there's some funny stuff, but some of the jokes were a little bit, you wouldn't be able to get away with it nowadays. I felt that cast just kind of rolled with it. Like they knew they were acting in like a ridiculous movie.
Oh, so I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were like, let's just have fun with it. And they did. And you could tell. Because you could tell, when they're overacting because,
right.
You have to.
There were some really funny lines in this movie that I'll talk about.
There was, but I think there were like too many funny.
Yeah, it's pretty frequent.
Funny lines. The plot was obviously ridiculous, but it was obviously fun. 7 out of 10.
That's it?
Yeah.
So it didn't beat Carnosaur, but it was almost as good.
Almost. It was fun. It was just a fun movie. You know what I mean? It was so bad it was good, but it was that
between
bad.
6 and 7, you're kind of like, sounds like you're like...
Between 6 and 7.
Okay.
So I'll just say 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And what did you think?
Well, this has been something that I've actually been looking forward to watching, like very anxious to watch it. and, sink my teeth into this ridiculousness. I never saw the original PG-13 film back in the day and just sort of blindly bought the 4K transfer for the movie.
Yeah, you're just like, we got to get this.
Yeah, because Nick saw at Cinepocalypse in Chicago, they played a copy of it before Vinegar Syndrome put it out at one of the festivals, and it was a huge hit. So I'm kind of blown away that I've never seen this movie before, even the PG-13 version. The R, obviously, nobody has until it got released. But knowing that they made an R cut for it is really all I needed to know to take the plunge, because watching the trailer, you're like, oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Right.
Now, did it live up to the expectations for me? I would say yes and no. Like, I think it's an extremely over-the-top, silly movie that most definitely benefits from the extra gore. Like, honestly, it makes it a better movie.
Right, it does.
Because the gore is super fun. Right. I enjoyed it. It's not too serious. Doesn't look too real.
Not at all.
That's pretty bad, actually, but it's enjoyable gore.
Right.
It's not as much as I was hoping there would be in this movie either.
Right.
So, but it definitely sort of tones down all of that towards the end. So like the further along you get into the movie, the less gore you get, and it's kind of like I felt like they missed a little bit, but whatever. It's not a big deal. The movie's fully aware of how ridiculous it really is. Right.
Were your expectations just for it being so silly? Your expectations were high for it to be like out of control?
Well, it's definitely a so bad it's good film, but it's almost too self-aware for it to be considered such. Right. Does that make sense?
Yes, that is exactly how I feel.
Right, like when you watch Troll 2, that guy wanted to make a masterpiece. Right. And it was nothing of the sort. So there's a difference between so bad it's good and intentionally so bad it's good. Right. So I don't know how to categorize that, or, and so bad it's good is overused. I know I'm a big culprit for it. But here's my middle finger. Anyway. So there's literally so many over-the-top jokes in this film, like over-the-top reactions, over-the-top dialogue that will either make you laugh, cringe, or scratch your head as to why they included it. It's in a good and a bad way, though. So I'm not shitting on this movie, guys. Like, I enjoyed it. So if you can't stomach like that kind of humor, though, it's going to be really bad for you. Like, you might not like it. You might not be able to handle this movie at all. Right. Like, I don't know, but I think some of the gore might kind of help in that department. So it's definitely excels in quantity over quality. Right. In that perspective. But I think it has a lot of great moments thrown into it, though. Lots of very dated humor, like you mentioned, that would definitely not pass for today's world. No way. Like really bad gay jokes, even really bad. Even dated for its time, I think. Right. I don't know how to explain it, but they have some diverse ideas in this, and I'm not bringing that up because I need that to be in a movie necessarily, but it is kind of diverse in what they added, the different characters in this film, so I don't think it is intentionally trying to poke the bear. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it definitely feels kind of like a male sexy dino chick flick. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's a guy film about a girl falling in love with a dinosaur, and it's kind of sexy in a weird, like, kind of cute way. Right. But you can definitely tell that it's sort of written by like an older guy, if that makes sense. Not trying to say that I care, because I really don't. It's just too ridiculous to even go there. Right. With the whole wokeness or whatever it is. Like, but it is always interesting when you watch movies from like the 80s and 90s and like compare it to today, because things are so vastly different. And even in the 90s, because that feels like more recent than like the 80s. Right. For me.
Yeah, because we were older children.
Right.
Then.
Like we
were
grew
teenagers.
up. That was when we were more cognizant of what was going on around.
Yeah. And we were making decisions for ourselves.
Right. So I always make that comparison for that reason. But anyway, I still enjoyed it quite a bit, but I was expecting it to go a little bit more wild with its ideas. I was pleased to see George Buckflower in this, because his films, he's like cinema's famous underappreciated drunken grandpas of fucking film, because he's been in everything, and he usually plays a drunk bum. and he does it really fucking well. Like he's almost typecasted in it too much.
Right.
Or some sort of bumbling dumb guy, you know, but I just love him for some reason. This time, though, he plays a deputy and not some sort of side character that like Marty bumps into when he returns back to the future, you know, which is just like a little tiny role. So he's like actually one of the bigger characters in this film. He's got like a lot of lines, and for some reason he looks really young in this. And I think it's because he usually has like this full beard going on in most of the movies, and he fully shaved it off for like, you know, I don't know. It's just weird looking at it. So I just wanted to mention him a little bit. So for fans of those people who have seen him in movies, like I think we watched another movie where he gets smacked by a truck, which was pretty awesome. Denise Richards is in this movie, and she does her role how she was directed, pretty much. Nothing too fantastic. I mean, pretty sweet and innocent kind of thing.
Right. Cute.
Yeah.
She was cute.
It was a cute thing.
Teenager. You know?
I don't know what it is, but I've always had this like weird thing about her because of the fucking movie Starship Troopers and how she kind of does Johnny from the movie Starship Troopers kind of wrong in a way. Like,
so you hold it a grudge against an actress
I'm not
character?
It's against her character, but I can't help remove that a little bit. I'm not against her. I actually think she's pretty cool. But I just remember going through like a really tough time watching Starship Troopers with her in it.
Okay. So you're relating.
And the same situation was happening to me right in front of me, like it was for him. So I'm like, you fucking bitch. But yeah, that's the, you know, you got to separate the art from the person, I guess. Anyway, but Paul Walker's performance in this is very early Paul. You know, it's the closest I could think of it. It was his role in Pleasantville. But definitely not the cool guy that you might think of in Fast and the Furious.
Right.
He's very, very young and kind of, you know, wet behind the ears.
Young and dumb.
Yeah. So, but my favorite role of him is always going to be Running Scared because, you know, it's actually a good Paul Walker film.
What is that? I don't know.
It's the one where he has the neighbor whose kid is, the neighbor's kid is friends with his son. He's well, I don't want to say.
Oh, okay. No, I remember now.
Yeah.
That was a really good movie.
Right. It's if you guys haven't seen Running Scared, it's got like some weird Nosferatu type shit in it. But
yeah, he was really good in that too.
It's such a fast paced like romp and ride of all these different stories like combining into one. And it's a really fun watch. And I loved him in it. Now. I know, I do too, just talking about it like that. But yeah, essentially his neighbor kid fires a gun and all these like occurrences happen. He hides the gun. The gun was in his basement, and so he's got to hide it, and like all this crazy shit happens, and it's fucking wild. And it's got young Vera Farmiga in it too, who is from Bates Motel mom.
Oh yeah. Oh
and The
yeah,
Conjuring.
she was really good in that.
Right. And I thought she was hot back then when I watched that movie. Anyway, so it's also this movie, back to fucking, I know I get off sidetracked here.
Tammy and the T-Rex.
Yeah, back to Tammy and the T-Rex, though. It's interesting to see the director of Ice Pirates later work, you know? Because when I was a kid, I loved that movie. So it's one of those movies that, you know, it's like, oh, she shouldn't be watching that, Alex.
Ice Pirates. That's a kid's movie?
It's not a kid's movie. Oh. That's why I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not one of those movies that you should be watching, but it was, I believe it was PG-13, but it was a hard PG-13 for kids.
Ice Pirates.
Yeah, it's a fucking 80s gem, dude. I always thought of it as like Buckaroo Banzai. Like those two movies, Ice Pirates and Buckaroo Banzai, were very similar.
I don't know what either of those are.
Well, we need to watch them.
I don't think I want to know.
It's not a porno.
Ice Pirates?
Yes. I know it sounds silly to you, but it's not a silly. It's just nice to see, because like he also did Mac and Me, which is a fucking weird film, like in general.
Is that the one with the dog?
The whistling alien that's like supposed to be like E.T. ripoff? Mac and Me.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God. Anyway, overall, I would say that this is better than average, but sort of slows down by the end of the movie. So you kind of lose a lot of what you liked about the movie.
You really do.
Yeah, the momentum is like really halted a little bit, and it just kind of like is a movie by the end. Whereas in the beginning, I was actually kind of laughing and, you know, seeing the like animatronic thing, and some of the gore was pretty cool, but it just, the frequency of all that good stuff just disappears. And it goes a little bit more serious. So I don't know. It's just, maybe it's just a weird mix for me, but I'm glad I own it. And I'm sure it will be one of those movies that someone's like, oh, you own that movie? And I'll watch it. And I'll have no problem watching it. So it's just a weird piece of film history that fits nicely on my shelf, personally.
Right.
And some people will probably like it more than me, probably, because I already know some people. But I would say I'd give it like a 6.5, maybe a 6 out of 10.
Oh, you gave it lower than me.
For cheesy horror 90s, like sci-fi, adventure, fantasy, dino, whatever movies, you know, that straight to video kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
Because it was never a theatrical release, and neither was Carnosaur. So. So I do have some trivia on this. This will be the spoilers section for those of you who do not want to hear this kind of shit. You better move on and pack your bags, motherfucker. But for those of you that don't mind and who have seen this, you can watch it on Shudder, by the way, just as a reminder. You can pick, you know, if you have the $5 subscription each month, you can get Shudder. I always include, I think it's worth the money personally, and I'm not paid by them. They don't give me a free account or anything like that, although I wish they would, because I think I've gotten more people to sign up for fucking Shudder than most people.
Right.
But the trivia for this, we have... So in the extras on the disc that I got from Vinegar Syndrome, by the way, the director had immigrated to the U.S. So he was born in England, and then he immigrated to the United States. His first job was training wild animals. That was his first job that he had. And he actually trained horses. Oh. So when he came out here, he wanted to work. He worked for a movie studio, like helping out with horses and shit and wild animals and shit, like all kinds of wild animals, not just horses. But they had him work on there, and eventually he got to the point where he was, you know, making movies and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool little story, you know, like the American dream, so to speak, you know, especially being in the entertainment industry, kind of cool. The T-Rex in the film was Dino, by the way, from a theme park. So they had this fucking already made animatronic fucking dinosaur, but they only had access to it for 3 weeks. And literally 3 weeks from pretty much when they found out they could get it.
Oh, wow.
So they had to rush this movie.
So weird.
Yeah, it's really crazy. So because they that was the big piece that they needed, you know, and it was either make one and spend all this extra money or use one that already had it and it could do all these things that they already had for it. So they were like, okay, but they rushed it, even wrote the script around the areas that was closest to it. Like, I think he said Thousand Oaks, California is where they shot a lot of it. Paul Walker's first film, supposedly, Stuart Raffel said, the director. Oh. But he said he was 18 years old when he stopped in, which I think that part is right, but this is definitely not Paul Walker's first film.
Oh, okay.
So in the extras, he says that, but technically Paul Walker's first film was another classic from Troma called Monster in the Closet.
Oh.
Which was a great film when I was a kid. I loved that movie. Super cool. It is the concept of Monsters Incorporated, by the way.
Wow.
Monsters Incorporated stole that idea from Monster in the Closet. Not joking.
That's funny.
That story, because they go through closets into other people's houses.
Oh, okay.
And the monster comes from that dimension.
Well, it's
crazy, right?
Crazy, yeah.
Some people always forget about when they think about that. They're like, oh, yeah. So if you guys want to check it out, look it up. I think it might be on Prime, but I could be wrong. If it's not on Prime, it's under the Full Moon Pictures
channel
subscription. Yeah, channel thing. Someone said that this is Denise Richards' first movie and job too, but I know that she did a lot. I think it was, but she had done a lot of TV shows and stuff like that.
Oh, I thought she did a lot of modeling before this.
She did a lot of stuff before.
Yeah.
She wasn't as new as they were making it seem, but I found out later on. So during the filming of this movie, a fire broke out in California, and they were told to leave by the firefighters. And the assistant director was such a fucking nut to get work done. He said, give me $100 to the director, and the director or producer, I think it was. And he was like, okay. And he gave him $100 and he was like, I'll be right back.
Oh my God.
And then he goes and talks to the firefighter, like the chief. And he's like, here's $100. Just let us finish our shoot here in the next 15, 20 minutes. Because they were telling him to leave right then and there.
Wow.
And they were like, okay, you got 15 minutes.
Oh my God. That's scary.
Right.
Because those fires out there are dangerous.
Right. And the fucked up thing is that Denise Richards in the commentary, or not commentary, but in the extras, she said that she mentioned that they barely made it out of there.
Wow. But
she really admired that kind of panaz for filmmaking. Get the job done. It really inspired her.
Oh, wow.
So... now, a lot of people don't know why this movie all the gore was cut out, and he doesn't really talk about it that much because it's really not that fascinating of a story. And I was a little disappointed to know. But really what it came down to is that when he had the film edited and cut, the guy who edited it and the producer and everything cut all this shit up. He made the movie so that it would be enjoyed by the audience in like another country.
Oh.
So when he got the final cut back, all of that shit was gone.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
He said that it really fucked him up.
Right.
And he was like having a panic attack practically. And that he had to get drunk in order to deal with it because he had shot all this extra footage and everything like that.
Wait, isn't the director usually involved in the editing process?
They can sometimes pick who the editor is.
And then they're supposed to just trust them?
No, they sometimes work with him, but it's not guaranteed. This is a low-budget film we're talking about.
Yeah, but still,
it's not like Spielberg sitting down next to the editor, you know what I mean? Like, and maybe in his world it is, but I'm just saying, like, yeah.
I would have still said
he didn't have control.
That doesn't
their
make any
product.
sense.
He was hired. That's how it was done. I don't care.
I would still be like, let me in. I'd be like beating on the door. Let me in.
That's the most I got out of it. I didn't really hear about it, and I didn't listen to the audio commentary. So if you guys did and you listened to that, yeah. So if you guys listened to the audio commentary, let me know because I'd really like to know. I didn't get a chance to listen to it because it's a lot of work.
Right.
Plus, I want to save some of the stuff on the disc for people to fucking get on their own, you know? I didn't tell everything that they talked about in the extras.
Well, you can't because there's a lot.
Yeah. Also, the director mentioned that Terry Kaiser was he's the mad scientist guy in the movie, the Dr. Wonkenstein. The director loved him because he was just like so animated. He brought this whole new flair to the movie because before they started this movie, it was supposed to be taken seriously, like in a love story.
Oh, that's a weird love story.
Yeah, and then he was like, we're changing it. It's going to be a comedy now. When they got Terry Kaiser in there.
Oh.
Because he was just so full of energy and over the top acting that he was just like, okay. So a lot of this was changed on the fly, stuff like that. Some of the stuff Terry Kaiser did was like all his own.
He was really good in this too.
Oh, for an over-top character doctor sort of thing. Yeah,
right.
I mean, definitely.
And they reminded me a lot of who was in Rocky and Bullwinkle? Boris and Natasha.
Okay.
From the cartoon.
Kind of probably, yeah. That makes a lot of sense, actually. The
evil villains with the tall, lanky chick.
Bullwinkle.
And, yeah, Rocky, Bullwinkle, Boris, Natasha.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Also, Denise Richards had said that Paul Walker was really great to work with and that he really had no ego at the time, at least, and that he was, like, really a hard worker. Also, the guy who played Billy, George Pilgrim, was super superstitious about getting his head removed in the movie because he thought that something bad was going to happen. And sure enough, he was bungeed on the back with a harness and a fake dino head on his head. And he got yanked up into the fucking sky, by the dino, which is supposed to look like he's getting eaten and then get his head removed and they drop the body and everything. Well, behind the scenes, what you don't see is that he went up in the air like really high, came back down. The head that's on top of it has sharp teeth.
Right.
And it would close every time
oh my God.
that he was falling. So he had to protect himself from getting cut in the face and losing an eye and shit like that. And he was fucking lit pissed,
right?
Like screaming. And then he said that he told the director, he was like, I'm not doing another fucking shot. Forget it. I was fucking died. And the director was like, hey, great shot, guys. Everybody, good job. So like, he was like, I don't care if you got it or not. I'm not doing it again, period.
But you could tell because you could see the harness.
Yeah, you can see
obviously.
it. Well, especially in like 1080p or 4K.
Well, yeah.
But I just thought that was really funny. He kind of recollected like him and Paul Walker when they were both weirded out about the testicle fighting scene, which is ridiculous.
The testicle war.
Yeah, where they were grabbing each other's nuts and pulling on it really hard for like the longest time. They were like, "You let go, you let go. No, I'm not letting go. Do you let go?" He said that the guy behind the scenes gave them like both large cups, like the size of like a giant. He was like, "This isn't going to fit me." Like, and they both refused to wear it. So they were like, "I guess we're just going to have to grab each other's crotches or something like that." And so they shot the scene without the cups. And apparently when Billy gets dragged off by the two deputies, one of those guys had a heart attack right there during that moment.
Really?
So he's like, they're like debating whether this is the first day of shooting too, by the way.
Oh, shit.
So he's like, the Billy guy George Pilgrim was like, "I don't know if I want to do this movie." And even Paul Walker apparently was like, "I don't know if I want to do this movie either."
Bad juju.
Because they changed everything last minute. And then like we're yanking on each other's dicks the first day. And like he was like, "I don't know if I want to do this." He's like, "This seems like a bad set to be on." Anyway, there was that scene in the movie where Paul Walker's like getting chased by Billy and his gang. So like he's like booking it and then they beat the shit out of him, hit him with a bat and shit.
Oh, when they were chasing after him with the car?
Yeah, he was really getting chased after by those guys. And like, I guess George Pilgrim, who plays Billy the bad guy, the bully, Billy the bully, and him were talking about the scene. He was like, "Please don't roll in front of the car. My God, I don't want you to get run over." You know, that's how fucking like kind of movie this was. You know what I mean? And like, he was like, "No, I don't want to fall down and like get run over." Yeah. Anyway, so Billy hits him with the bat or whatever. And he said that, that whole day or night of shooting, Paul Walker was fucking irate about the whole situation. So, yeah, but you know, he had been exhausted. He'd been running a quarter of a mile over and over and over and over again. And then he had to lay on the ground and like act and all this other shit. And he was like pissed.
Yeah, that sounds exhausting.
At least that's what George Pilgrim says, guys. I don't know. Also, you might know that theme song that comes with this movie. "I'm a dinosaur, baby," or whatever the fuck he says. That theme song was written by Simon Stokes, who is the same guy who did the Chucky song for Child's Play. And you're like probably thinking to yourself, which Chucky song might you be talking about, Alex? Well, it never got released. It was a song that was supposed to be the silly fun song that got rejected.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, but you can find it online, and I will give you I'll put a link down below for you guys so that you can check it out. It's not the greatest. So anyway, but there's another connection though, the Child's Play and Chucky and all that, by the way, here. And that is with the actor John Franklin, who is the mad scientist's other assistant, not the Helga chick who played his assistant, who was the like Boris and whatever, Natasha. But the shorter guy who was in the movie with the glasses.
Oh, yeah, the guy with the big computer.
Right.
Because you need a huge computer to run an anatomic turret.
Yeah. He apparently was actually one of the people who ran around as Chucky in Child's Play in the bigger scenes where they built up all the furniture and everything, so it made it look like to scale. But they did it, and
that's weird.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. So he's also connected to that, but he was wearing like the large Chucky suit, trying to run around as a little person.
Right.
I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So let's go over some of our favorite scenes. We don't have to go over all of them that we liked, and then we'll wrap this bitch up.
In the beginning, when Billy ran into her house and the mom was like calling 911 because Billy just like stormed into the house.
Right.
And she said, "It's a gangbang." That just cracked me the fuck
That was really funny.
up.
You know that's funny about that? It's like that whole scene is so weird because like he gets Michael, Paul Walker's character, sneaks up the lattice work.
Right, into her room, and he knocks
everything over. And then so does she. She's like, "Oh," they're all stupid, rolling around, knocking shit over. And then she's like, "Shh, shh, Mom and Dad are downstairs," like, And then her dad calls her on the phone. I guess they have 2 lines in the house, which is really weird. That's not normal. But maybe for like upper class people.
No. I bet you she had her own line in her room.
That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
what I said.
Oh, well, yeah, that's normal.
Well, I don't know. I my dad had that because he had a business in the house. So he had another phone line and we had the home line.
He just didn't want his teenage girl,
maybe
on the line because, teenage girls talk a lot. But anyway, he called.
So he called her. Oh, I knocked over my dictionary while studying. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
And it's intentionally it's intentionally done that way because she has another line later where she's like, something about a comet hit her window.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. I was like, what?
But anyway, Billy, the ex-boyfriend, he just like fucking breaks into their house. And the parents are doing jack shit about it too.
Right.
And then she's like, there's a gangbang, who the fuck is this kid?
Yeah, it's him and all his friends.
He's storming into a fucking parent's house. Like, that would be fucking pulling out my gun. Right. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And then this is the weirdest thing about this movie. This is where it's sort of so bad it's good, but it's so intentional. It's like, chase Michael into the street, out into a field, beat the shit out of him until he's unconscious, throw him in the back of a car, break into a fucking zoo enclosure with all of these fucking wild animals, which is just weird.
Right.
And then leave him to die. But don't tell him that he's in this enclosure with all these wild animals.
Right.
And he gets mauled and killed by a fucking lion.
Right.
Like, how
so weird.
That is bizarre. Like, really fucking bizarre.
I'm thinking it was just a director call, like, ooh, I want to do an animal scene.
Well, really, since he worked with wild animals, I'm sure he had access to it, so he was just being ingenious about
makes sense.
using what he had access to. But it is really bizarre. Like, I've never seen something like that in a movie. Yeah. So what other scene do you have after that?
Okay, so when they had Michael on the table and they were trying to take his brain out of the body, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, his penis started going.
They were puppeting his penis.
Yeah, they were puppeting his penis.
By sticking needles in his brain. Because they cut open his head and fucking take it out. I mean, that was pretty funny. Like, funny. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's when it's that kind of movie.
Right. And then when they were taking the brain out and the one guy's like, I think he's losing his mind. That dialogue.
I thought it was really funny, that same doctor, like before they get his dead body though, because he died because of the lion thing, right? And then the Dr. Wonkenstein, who does all this experimental shit, he's like obsessed about this dino, which is really weird, okay? He comes in, he's like, it's glorious and I shall make you be free. But then he goes into Michael in the hospital, who's dead and looks perfectly fine, by the way. Doesn't look like anything happened to him for a lion that mauled him to death.
Right.
He's alive, not dead yet, but then pulls the plug on his thing to make it seem like he's going into cardiac arrest. And then they're pounding on his fucking chest like
punching.
Live! And I immediately thought of The Abyss, like immediately at that point, because I love that scene in The Abyss. I talk about it on here all the time.
You do all the time.
They kill that one guy, gets his head chewed off, the Franklin actor who's the mad scientist or whatever, and then he steps on one of the guards' chest and it just caves in.
That was pretty cool.
That was really cool how they did that effect. And then you don't see his head till later, but they stomp on his head too, and it's just this the fucking Helga chick is like rolling up his body later.
Yeah, that was weird. It
like a carpet.
Like Roger Rabbit,
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Did you notice that she slipped a little taste?
Yeah, she kept licking her fingers. It was like that whole scene. She was licking her fucking fingers.
I mean, it's just little touches like that are kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like a very nuanced thing that most people probably wouldn't notice because they're listening to the dialogue. But I don't know why. I saw. I'm glad you did too. I love, okay, so first of all, let's just sum everything up. So Billy the bully has killed Michael, essentially, by putting him in a lion's enclosure, although not technically he didn't die until the doctor killed him and cut open his brain and used it to to make the animatronic dinosaur come to life.
So technically the brain was still alive.
Right, so he never really died.
Right.
But you think he's pretty much murdered the guy. Like, to everybody else, you think Billy's a murderer. So the next scene is there's a party and Tammy can't get over the fact that Michael died with her over-the-top stereotypical gay friend, like Byron. And of course, Billy shows up to win her hand after, of course, killing Michael, which she thinks he's dead. One, because he's a dick, and two, because you don't get arrested in this movie for leaving a man to die in a lion enclosure at the zoo, apparently. He just gets to go on being Billy. Which I was like, okay, this movie's out of control. But then he wreaks havoc in the party. Did you like some of those scenes in there? Like, what was your favorite scene in the party?
In the party?
When he was, like, killing people.
Didn't he kill one of the other chicks, one of Billy's gangbang chicks in that scene?
Was they're out in the car fucking in the back seat because she gets turned down by Tammy.
Right.
So he takes that other chick out to the car and she's like, oh my God, Billy. Oh.
It's ridiculous over the top.
And then he grabs her leg.
Right.
And the dino.
That's right. And her death scene was really cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. But I like the part where he stomps on the car. Like two guys go hiding under a car for some reason.
Yes.
And then their head gets smashed.
They just get decapitated.
Well, it didn't even decapitate him. It just crushed their head right in the middle. And it popped. Like, I thought that was cool.
That was cool.
Of course, Sean Whalen's character, Weasel, gets scratched on the chest. And, like, it's terrible. He just is holding guts on his chest. And then drops it.
Yeah, it was funny.
Like, that's one of those things where, like...
Yeah, these little tiny dinosaur arms.
Yeah, like, not gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny in the movie, too, because, like, the dino arms just were way longer than any T-Rex. Like, T-Rex arms don't work that way.
You can't even use, like, they don't have arms, really. Yeah. Like, they're just, like, armless.
It was kind of silly. But
it was silly.
That's kind of the charm of it, too, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I feel like bad for giving it, like, a 6.5, but I gotta, you know, like, I don't know. Then there's a scene where Tammy gets taken out of the fucking window by the T-Rex, which is Michael, a.k.a. Michael in the T-Rex.
Uh-huh.
And she finds out that Michael is a robot, like a brain inside of the robot T-Rex. Because he mimes the whole fucking thing to her. And then
with his tiny arms.
Yeah. And then, like, she comes back after finding that and talks to Byron and tells him. And he's like, oh my God, that's why you didn't kill me. Like, it makes sense. And he just is on board. And this, of course, is right out front of her house. She's been taken out of her house again. Some crazy shit. And I think somebody says that, the sheriff says it's a fucking dinosaur to the dad. He's like, you don't want to know. And he's like, I think I want to know what happened to my daughter. And so then when she shows up, he's like, where the hell were you? We heard a dinosaur took you off. And she was like, what? No, it was the comet that crashed into my window. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, what? Like, very intentional writing there. But this is where the movie starts to slowly nosedive for me. Mm-hmm. Is it starts to get a little
boring.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because the jokes were too frequent that I just wasn't laughing anymore, or just not as into it. I mean, it's still silly fun to watch. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just kind of lost a little interest. Like, it lost a lot that momentum that you were talking about. So they have a couple funny scenes. One including Tammy riding the T-Rex. Do you remember that?
So weird.
The cop and like all these other people are watching her run off in the distance on top of the dinosaur, which is like this animated segment that you see the legs kind of moving like very oddly, but the cop sees her and they're like, look at that. And it cuts to like, man, she can ride. Like,
ridiculous.
It's terrible. Do you remember what happened at the end?
Oh my God, it was so ridiculous. Yeah, she just was dancing for the brain.
Yeah. But so the doctor gets
okay.
eaten and he can't be saved, so she just keeps his brain in a jar.
While they look for a body.
Right, and they
can't find a body.
Yeah, but they can't find a body because they don't have the scientist anymore. And why did he kill the scientist who could have saved him?
Exactly.
Like, I would have maimed him at least, not fucking murdered him.
Right. You know what? There was no nudity in this movie or the other movie. Like, it's kind of weird to me. You would think they would want nudity with the gore.
Maybe, but there was...
Or, boobs.
Stewart, the director, was saying that during this time, part of the reason that some of the stuff got cut out is because they was in a different time where it was like hard to get distribution for movies with gore and shit like that.
Oh, it's because the violence in video games.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, gores.
We've been back over that a million fucking times. But
okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, he said nudity and things like gore and violence were frowned upon a lot of places, and it was really hard to get distribution. So, maybe that was what it was. I don't know. So... But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, I don't want you guys to be upset with me if you love this movie. I'm glad you do. It's just, I don't know. Like, after watching Carnosaur and this back to back, I have to give it to Carnosaur.
Dude, I'm glad we bought it. I'm glad we watched it.
Tammy and the T-Rex?
Yeah, I'm glad we'd never seen it before.
Oh, and I can't wait to watch it in 4K when we get a player. But
right, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Really?
Yeah,
I'd watch it again. I would totally watch it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the nosedive thing really kind of takes away from it, unfortunately.
It really does.
But, it was written to be a serious movie, and then it turned into a comedy, and so even most comedies, by the end of the movie, it's not funny anymore.
Right.
Like, literally 90%.
Right.
I've always noticed that.
Yeah. Well, they're,
it's like you're done with it. You're like, okay, just like get it over with. And even the writing gets to the point where it's just like, okay, let's just get it over with.
Right. Story-wise, yeah.
Right. What did you guys think of this movie? I would love to hear what your thoughts are. If you had to pick between the two, what would you pick over the other if you have seen these two? If you haven't seen one of these, which one would you like to watch first? If you have seen one of them and not the other, let us know what you think. I would love to hear it. So sound off in the comments down below. Of course, we'll be back next week. We're going to be doing Carnosaur 2 and...
Carnosaur 3.
Yeah, there's another longer name to that, I think, on the third one.
Oh, yeah, there's like a semicolon.
So
something. Just
look it up. I think all three are on YouTube, so you can just watch it there. That's where we're going to be watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad because I would rent it if I could.
Yeah, it's not available. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I don't feel bad then.
Dude, I would buy it. Release it.
Right. You do like it that much, but you're always into those kind of like black sheep kind of movies.
I love Black Sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming by this week. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. As always,
long live the void.